Welcome to our podcast, You're Entitled to Our Opinion, where we delve into the Christian life, the Bible, and pretty much anything that's happening in the world today.
But more than just our opinion, we want to share truth that just might change your life.
Now, we don't claim to have all the answers, but we know who does. And our goal is to give him a chance to make a difference in your life.
I'm Jay Scribner.
And I'm Tom Johnson.
And you are entitled to our opinion. That looked like George Washington instead of Tom Johnson.
Dead presidents. That's what they call these dollar bills, whatever, dead presidents. Anyhow, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. That's why I showed everybody. But today's topic is politics. Do I hear 40 trillion? And apparently 40 trillion is going to happen. But Jay, we are in our second week of the new year, and wow, what an incredible year this is going to be.
I like new beginnings.
I do too.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking the other day with somebody, and I says, December 31st to January 1st, it's just one day. It's 24 hours flips over, and
I used to tell my staff that.
Yeah.
Every December 31. That the only difference from today and tomorrow is 24 hours.
That's it.
Anyhow,
so we're going to be talking about politics.
Many ticks.
Many ticks. We call it the many blood-sucking parasites. Ticks are blood-sucking parasites, and poly is many. We love to joke about politics, but it's kind of a serious topic, too. So we're going to jump into that in just a little bit. But
So that's that old thing of the opposite of pro is con.
Right.
And so the opposite of progress would be Congress.
You kind of get that feeling after a while. And we're older than some of our watchers and listeners. We've seen some things over the years, and some things change, and some things just don't change, do they?
I tell you what, and when you look at Washington, when you look at politics, if they change, it's for the worse. And there are times you think, whoa, how can it get any worse? But it can.
Yeah, it can. Well, one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is our national debt. We're at $38.5 trillion.
Man, if I had that, Tom, I could pay off most of my bills.
Most of your bills? Well, anyhow, I brought this along just as a little illustration because I found this out. I thought it'd be kind of fun to find out really how many 38 trillion is. And so I was looking that up, and this smart aleck kid decided he was going to test his teacher to find out if he was actually knowledgeable. The teacher said it would take about $1 billion to reach the moon. And the kid said, I'm going to check it out. So he goes through the whole math thing. There's 63,360 inches in a mile, 238,500 miles to the moon. A dollar bill is like 0.00043 inches thick. So he does all this math, and he says, no, it would take more than $1 billion. He says, if it was this way, it would take $3.5 trillion stacked on top of each other to reach the moon.
Wow.
Even if they're end to end, it would be $2.5 billion from here to the moon. So at $3.5 trillion this way, we would have 10 stacks of dollar bills to the moon to equal our national debt.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's not very thick, and it's just... I think that's where a lot of people, and maybe politicians, well, they're people too, but anyhow, they don't get the concept of how deep the hole is we're digging here. It's amazing.
I used to say, when it's extremely extremely cold outside, I used to say that it is so cold that the politicians have their hands in their own pockets.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the whole thing about government that a lot of people still don't understand is the government does not generate income.
It prints it.
They print it, but they take it from us.
Yes.
That's the taxes. That's the whole thing that even what's happened this last year, we talked about it last week, about the tariffs and things like that. That money is taken from somebody and distributed somehow by the government. But they don't generate any income. The government doesn't give us anything except, apparently, debt.
Sure. And so they take from us so that all the different programs and things that are done through the government, they give back to the taxpayers in one way or another,
right,
in these different programs. And when you own your own printing press like they do,
right,
anything goes, and they've proven that.
Yeah.
I had the privilege one time, Tom, I don't know if I've shared this with you, to be chaplain for the day at the United States Congress.
That's
when
awesome.
I was in, it was a great honor. And when I was introduced, the congressman that introduced me said, after he gave a little bit of a biographical thing, and then he said, and maybe while he's here, we should sit down and visit with him because he's operating his church debt-free.
Did he actually say that? Oh my, that's awesome. Well, you and I have talked about being debt-free, and it's such a freeing thing. It's an awesome thing. But, when we look at our government, the last time we had a balanced budget, that means the income and the outgo matched, was back in 1998. I think, let me look it up here. It was Bill Clinton, actually.
Really?
And and I think what happened was what he inherited helped a lot. But that was the last time there was a balanced budget.
That's impressive.
In the government. Well,
it's impressive that it's only 20-some years back, and that is Bill Clinton.
That is true.
So I'm impressed.
Yeah. Although it was a balanced budget, we still had national debt. The last time this country did not have debt was 1835 under President Andrew Jackson.
Wow.
So we have been in debt as a nation since 1835.
Unbelievable.
But
almost 200 years.
That's the thing.
Since we've been out of debt.
So how can the government operate in a deficit every year? In fact, I made the list of the debt since, in 1985, our national debt was $986 billion. That's a lot of money. Now, let's fast forward to 2001. It's $5.8 trillion. And that was the last surplus year. That was the Bill Clinton year. We actually had a balanced budget. And then it went from 9.6 in 08, 11.9, 13.5, 19.6, 22.7 by 2019, 28.4, 30.9 in 22, and then 33 in 23 and 35 in 24. Every year we get at least an extra $2 trillion in debt.
That's just nothing but lack of accountability and a government out of control.
Yeah.
Tom, there's no way that an economic system can function like that.
Right.
There's no way. What I'm about to say, I'm surprised it hasn't already happened.
Okay.
If you keep stacking up anything, this Jenga game, you ever played that?
Yeah, with the wooden things. Yeah.
That's probably a good illustration at this point, because you keep stacking that up, it is bound to topple.
Yep.
And that's exactly what our picture has to be with our national debt.
Mm-hmm.
You keep stacking that up like we're doing, it's bound to collapse. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
Right. Well, we didn't really. Well, yeah, I guess we did mention it last week when we were talking about 25 in review. But it's one thing to spend, but we have been dealing with corruption for so long. And last year, a lot of that corruption was exposed. How was it dealt with? Swept under the rug? Oh, yeah. I mean, there has been such a political fight this last year about spending. We shut down the government for how long? Because we couldn't we couldn't decide on how much more debt we wanted to get into.
Sure.
Come on.
Yeah. You know, the politicians, in my opinion, are just purely out of control on both sides.
Yeah.
Now I certainly lean one side.
Sure.
Sort of the lesser of evils. Let me just call it that.
Mm-hmm.
But both of them, both sides, both parties, out of control, lack of accountability, and no fiscal responsibility, or else we wouldn't go through things like we did with a government shutdown.
Right.
This is ridiculous to me.
All right. Well, let's put the burden on where it really belongs. We as a nation are a republic, a democratic republic. Who puts those people in Congress?
Yeah, bring it back to us. Yeah,
that's
sure,
us.
Sure.
And so, and I think back to when Israel wanted a king. And God said, even in Deuteronomy, this is not my plan for you. But it was interesting, too, and I didn't look it up, that I think it's in 17 or 18 of Deuteronomy. He said, when you get into the promised land and you desire a king, choose a king that I choose for you. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. And I don't hear that preached very often, that God actually prophesied that you would get to the point where you'll want a king. Okay, well then, let's pick the man that I want for you. And what did they do? They picked a tall, good-looking guy who had no confidence, sitting amongst the baggage saying, I don't want this job, Bobs. But they put Saul in as king. And what happened was, it's been ever since then, the people in rule, the rulers, are the ones, God said, that king, he's going to conscript your kids. He's going to take your the produce. He's going to take... And we've seen it take, and not a lot of giving. So who we choose as leaders is important.
I think it boils down to two or three things. One is we don't educate ourselves. The general populace of the United States, we can listen to what some politician says and make our decision based on a debate or based on some type of promotion, publicity.
Right.
So number one, I think we don't educate ourselves with regard to what does the Constitution set forth, and where does this person stand, and where does this political party stand. I've said for now, unfortunately, for quite a few years, if you don't do anything else, read the party platform. Just see where the Democrat Party platform says. Yeah. See what the Republican Party platform says. And the fact of the matter is, as Christians, or I'll just go ahead and say as common sense people, just doing that is going to reveal really where this party stands, what their platform is, and what they're going to run on. Yeah. And especially as Christians, it becomes a real separation of light and dark if you just read the platform. Yeah. So number one, we need to educate ourselves. Number two, we need to decide and determine what does this particular candidate believe. I used to invite all the candidates into my office one at a time,
Mm.
local,
Uh-huh.
local candidates. A lot of them took me up on it. A lot of them didn't.
Okay.
But I had my secretary call all of the candidates that were going to be on the primary ballot from both parties, and I gave them 30 minutes. A lot of times we would take more than that.
Okay.
But I set up my appointments on the basis of 30 minutes, and I'd run these candidates through my office in order to find out what they believe. And I had some pointed questions that I asked them. And it soon got to the place where these candidates, whether they shot straight with me or not, I don't know.
Sure.
But they wanted to come and have an audience with me.
Sure.
Because they saw that I was somebody that cared about what they believed, what they stood for, and plus the fact they knew that every Sunday I had several hundred voters sitting out in my congregation.
Yep.
And so find out what these candidates believe. And then number 3, more importantly than anything, register to vote and vote.
Yep.
Vote.
No,
Don't
only vote once.
What's that? I vote early and I vote often.
Yeah. That's great 3 points, because as believers, we need, when you look at it, we are not of this world. We are of a godly kingdom, and our hope is not in our president, not in our local leaders, and things like that. We need to determine that. But at the same time, we are called here to be salt and light.
Exactly. I just started right before you. Salt and light. Go
That's
ahead.
it.
You're right.
And so in that way, we can't be salt and light unless we know the truth. And that's where we as believers need to be, number 1, responsible in the godly kingdom. We need to know the word. We need to fellowship. We need to be responsible in our giving, in our teaching, in the pursuit of God's truth. Then we take that and say, okay, as a light, as salt, how can we affect where we are? Because we know, and we talked about this last week, we're in the last days.
Yes.
And when Jesus talked about the last days, when the Bible talks about it, it's not going to get better. Dark is going to get darker, but it also says that the light will shine brightly. And we as believers, if we will take to heart the fact that we need to effect change where we are when we can. The sanctity of life, voting, encouraging godly leaders and voting for godly leaders and encouraging godly people to run in the politics, but also just in our community, where I work, my own family. We need to be that salt and light that makes a difference and brings God's truth, so that in these last days, the light will shine bright enough to draw those people. There's no more grays, and the grays are it's one way or the other.
Sure.
And the polarization is going to happen. So let's be strong in faith so that we can draw people to the Lord.
That's great. Everything you just said, just tremendous stuff right there. And so we need to understand the impact that we as individuals can make, the impact that a church can make. And let me just say this as a parenthesis. Don't be deceived about this separation of church and state thing. Do your research on that.
Yeah.
Understand the history and the background of that.
Right.
And people that don't like Christians being involved and don't like churches being involved, that's the very first thing they say. They try to put up this barricade that there must be a separation of church and state. That is so felonious. It's crazy.
Right.
And so people need to be involved. Christians need to be involved. Christians need to run for office. You said that a while ago.
Yeah.
And we need to put together a block of Christian leaders that will run for office. Wouldn't it be great? I just now thought of this. What if you take, we've got 6 council people just in Branson.
Okay.
Now, I realize you live in Hollister. I actually don't know what the political city council structure is here, but we've got 6 in Branson. Wouldn't it be great if we just put together a block that they're all running together? I realize they're in different wards.
Yep.
But we show up at the same debate. We're not debating one another. We all stand for the same thing. We all stand for godly principles. We all stand for what's right. We all stand for what we want that is best for our community.
Right.
And we just run a block of Christian people in our different municipalities. I like that concept.
I love that idea. And God did call us to unity. When Jesus prayed that we would be one, that's the issue. Can we seek God? And this is one thing that I've told a number of people. Do you really get down on your knees, either physically or spiritually, and ask God who to vote for?
Wow, that's good.
Or do we have this... I like this. I like the way he looks. I like the way he talks. I like the way, it's like, no, what you just said is so good. We need, and we keep going back to, I love the phrase, men of Issachar who understand the times, who will be able to stand up and say, this is God's will for this area and this nation. How can we, as believers, stand together, speaking with one voice, bring about God's will for this area? People don't like, even Christians struggle with God's will in politics. And it's like, no, that separation of church and state is the dumbest argument, but I hear it so often. In fact, I just read an article yesterday. Moody Bible College is training teachers. And the city of Chicago will not hire or allow a student teacher to be a part of the public school system if they've gone to Moody Bible Institute.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
I don't know if it's ACLJ, if it's going into the courts, but when that was revealed, it's like, yeah, we got light and dark here, but that's okay. The light just needs to shine brighter.
Sure.
And we need to stand together as believers saying, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
I think I've shared this before here, but let me say it again. I've confronted and educated a number of our city council people over the years from this perspective. I would be at city council standing up for some issue.
Okay.
And I don't know how many times I heard it publicly coming from a council member to say, well, now, Reverend, you can't legislate morality. Now, I actually loved it. I loved it when I heard that. Because I would say, well, let me explain something to you, sir or ma'am. And that is this. Every law that's ever been passed in all of history. Now, listen to this, Tom. This is a blunt declaration. Every law that's ever been passed in all of history, whether it's from a city council, whether it's from a municipality, whether it's from something local, whether it's from a school board, whether it's from a legislature, whether it's from a Congress, whether it's from a dictator, whether it's from a president, whether it's from a parliament, every law in all of history that's ever been passed is, in fact, the legislation of somebody's morality.
That's good.
Now, that's a blunt statement there, but you can't shoot holes in it. It's fact.
Yep.
It is the legislation of somebody's morality. And then I'd say to this council member, the reality is you don't want my morality. You want yours. But I'm here to tell you publicly, I try my best to develop my morality based on biblical principles.
Good. Mm-hmm.
It's proven. And I would much rather have a law that operates within our municipality based on biblical guidelines than I would on any other guideline coming from anybody else. And very honestly, and I've delivered that message at city council a number of times over the years, and I actually got to the place where I looked forward whenever I was challenged. Because listen to that.
Yeah.
Now, you can't legislate morality. Well, you obviously don't know that is what's being done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're legislating immorality too, by the way.
Exactly.
You see, that's one of the things that was brought up in a discussion in a group that we had just not too long ago about other legal systems or other systems that are trying to come into America and establish their morality. Well,
let me tell you, that's a scary thing right there.
And it's happening in little pockets around the country, and that needs to be addressed. But this country was based on biblical morality. And that's why the Ten Commandments were posted in every courthouse, every schoolhouse, and hopefully every house, that we would know that God has set and established morality for people, not just his people, but people in general.
Sure.
And that's why our laws exist that way. When you say you can't murder, it's illegal to murder, that's morality, but that's directly from God. And there's the whole thing. We need to, like you just said, and I love this, we need to be educated on the Word of God so that we bring the principles of God with us into the marketplace, into the political arena, wherever we go.
Yeah. I don't remember if I pointed this out before. I think I may have, but
go ahead.
I would encourage people to look at Isaiah chapter 33, verse 22, because this is the foundational basis of our tri-level government. And people probably are not educated to understand that that the structure of our tri-level government is Bible-based. It's got a Bible foundation, and that's from Isaiah 33:22. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king. Then I like the way it ends that verse. He will save us.
He will save us.
Oh, man, that's it in a nutshell.
That's the whole thing.
From the legislative branch. And I'm not going to argue over the word king there.
Sure. No,
we've got a tri-level government of the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch.
Right.
And all three of those are contained in that verse. And then I love how it wraps it up. He, the Lord, will save us.
This great.
That's great, isn't it? And He is our hope.
Yes, that's true.
He alone is our hope.
And so that's why we bring this up, not to frighten people, not to to discourage folks, but to really put us on our knees and the scripture says to pray for those in authority over you. And so we need this year to make it a definite year where we seek God and his kingdom on earth wherever we go. Let's be light, let's be salt, let's make a difference wherever we can, whenever we can.
Tom, I appreciate this topic. There's so much more we could share with regard to that. But the topic is politics. Mm-hmm. Well said, sir.
Thank you.
And the things that we've shared, I hope people take to heart and understand that our focus, our desire, is that this nation would turn back to God and to the godly principles and precepts upon which this nation was founded.
I'll
all
amen
the way
that.
from the White House to my house.
There you go. Well, friends, continue to join us and keep sharing. We appreciate that. Just remember, you're entitled to our opinion.
Friends, you can contact us at yourentitled777@gmail.com. Also on Facebook.com, You're Entitled to Our Opinion. Jay's video blog, Here's Hope America, can be found on Facebook.com, Here's Hope America. Tom's blog, Durf Nerfle's Thought of the Day, you can find it at facebook.com/DurfNerflesTOTD, but also you can sign up to receive it by email on the website durfnerfle.us. Share our opinion. As with all podcasts, you, our listeners, are the way people join us as you share the podcast with them. You're Entitled to Our Opinion has been recorded at Flat Frog Studio, Hollister, Missouri. For more information, go to www.flatfrogstudio.us.